Yeah, my name's Howard Wells. My career has been in sport all my life. I did a Bachelor of Ed degree at Leeds University in my fourth year, along with the two or three that are here tonight. My career started in teaching, but I decided that wasn't really for me, so I got involved in further education when I was 24. And I worked at a college of further ed where I actually project managed and designed a community sports centre that we got built in 2.5 years. So I then felt, having had a local experience, I needed a national one. So I then went and worked for 6 years as Deputy Director at Bisham Abbey National Sports Centre, where I met everyone in sport that there was. And then from there I got headhunted by a guy who'd been appointed to set up an Olympic training centre in Hong Kong, and I went out there to work with him in 1981, and so I project managed the building of 10 facilities in 10 Olympic sports and appointed coaches from all over the world in those 10 sports. I took over as Chief Executive there in 1984 and did that for another 5 years, and then I set up a government quango in sport, where I had a chairman who was the chairman of Hong Kong Bank as my chairman, who was the most outstanding man I've ever met in my life. And we had 3.5 years together. He's still a good chum, he's 93 now. And from there I came back to England in 96 and set up UK Sport, and then had 3 stints in professional football as Chief Executive at Watford when they got into the Premier League, Ipswich when they got into the Premier League, and the Irish Football Association, where I spent 4 years. Sport's been very kind to me, and in the context of this place, Bill Slater was a great friend of mine who was one of the guys who's now no longer with us. Bill was a student here from 1948 to 51, I think it was. I knew him very well, and he told me a great story about being here in 1948 and having to get permission to miss lectures on a Saturday morning so he could go and play in the cup final for Blackpool against Manchester United. And he told me he travelled back on the train. Of course, no one recognised him because in those days no television and no information about players, so they didn't know who he was. And the other person, well, a couple of others, but I met Ron Pickering, was also a great friend of mine, and sadly, he came and did some work for us in Hong Kong on a consultancy basis, and in fact stayed with me in Hong Kong the week before he came back and died, sadly, in 1991. But he was a big influence and an old student of this place, and this place has always remained strong in my heart. We have a number of regular get-togethers from my year group. We've got another one coming up in April next year, which is going to involve some time here. And the fact that people come along, we've got I think 22 guys coming to that and their partners from a year group of 60 years ago. So that's how much it means to us all. I was bowled over really because I've done lots of things in my life and there are lots of people more worthy than I am, but sport's been my hobby. I made my hobby my job, and as a consequence I've been around it. I still do quite a lot in sport, not full time, but it's been a major part of my life, and it's a privilege to be back here and to see amazing developments here really. And this is a secret that needs more broadly advertising, and I hope tonight's inductees will take that message out broadly because it's important that they do. There are people here that I know about that I've not worked with, and so it's interesting to see people like Julie Nelson here, who is in the Irish FA, and that was after my time, but really impressed to see her getting recognised and the Irish Football Association being recognised, which is very encouraging. And if you look at the diversity of people here tonight and their backgrounds, it's encompassed a whole variety of different interests in sport and achievements in sport, and I think that's a strong message.